Welcome in, settle close. Got a story you should know. New ideas loud and clear. Got that future in your ear. Tune in, let it rouse. Open up your mind. New day, new view. We're stepping right through. In the heart of music, in the heart of music. Future view, future view. In the heart of music, in the heart of music. Future view, we bring it to you.
And welcome, good morning to you. Welcome into Future View. So good to have you with us today. It's going to be a ride, I tell you, from here on in. Brace yourself, tighten your bootstraps, because good music, the artists you've grown listening and loving, are here to give you a glimpse of the future. My name is Nichole Murray-Broome, and I am a qualified futurist. And that's why this is going to be a bit of a surprise even for the production crew, because they had no idea that there was even such a thing as a qualified futurist. And what is that, you might ask? It's someone who has studied the past to help determine what is likely to happen in the future based on human behavior. And today we have some good behaved humans in here. I don't know about you, but it's always good to listen to good music. And with all of the debates out there about whether music can influence you and whether music has any impact on your behavior or your mood, we'll settle a lot of those discussions in this podcast, Future View. Today in studio we have Jaicko Lawrence and Kingservant. And we'll be taking a little bit of a dive into the new music, the old music, the changes over the years. Sit tight. We're about to blow your socks off. This is Future View. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome in.
Thank you for having us.
We've got two guys who are doing it all over social media. And you're rocking the socks off. The young people, I don't know if the older folks are tuning in. I mean, they're not getting a little easy in on the Instagram. We don't know if they...
We early enough for the early risers.
The early risers. Yes, you are. I want to just say thank you for coming on in. This is going to be such a ride, this podcast. And we're right on the cusp of something really life-changing in the Caribbean. And it's such a pleasure to have you in right at the beginning. Thank you so very much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah. I put on my seatbelt because I
You're strapping it too.
You say step a little taller.
Oh no! Relax.
I was saying I don't like roller coasters, but this train is a whole new train.
I don't like the roller coasters either. We're gonna have a great time, and I just want to start off by asking you, what does music mean to you? Not just as an artist, a minister. What has music been for you? Any one of you can go first.
I would say my relationship with music has changed over the years, and I think I've been able to, by the grace of God, I would say, put it in perspective, of worship, ultimately, to the Lord, as the Lord has dealt with me concerning music. So for me, music is an expression of worship. And I know you said outside of ministry and outside of God, but that's what music has become for me, a means of exalting the Lord in a creative, artistic, beautiful way. Yeah, in layman terms.
Awesome.
Similarly, my relationship with music has changed over the years. Like when I was growing up, music was an escape. It was where I used to go, feel, get the emotions for particular songs. So different groups at different points would be like my soundtrack to my life, that kind of stuff. As I started to create music, then it became and has become more of a way to communicate something. And particularly, I I find it is I would say my favorite way, or one of my favorite ways to communicate the wisdom of God. So who he is and what his mind, not brain, see the brain, but his mind, what his mind works like, as much as we can fathom it. Obviously his thoughts are so much higher than ours. But I find that is what I find music is for me, which is interesting because it can become, I can become so focused on that I stop enjoying music. There are times when I go through and I don't listen to music at all. I just try to listen to silence in the car, don't listen to anything, because music can become a bit of a tool rather than, as Jaicko said, an expression or something that I enjoy. So every once in a while I kind of go through that phase where I kind of don't listen to music at all, and then kind of re-embrace it and find, and particularly for worship, that's usually where I can first reconnect and then find the expression from there.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting what the both of you have said, I guess, in different ways. I'll just oppose it to my background in communications. And my next question is going to be based on what I shared. When we first did Mass Comm, everything was shining and bright. You were all excited. And then they taught us film and TV criticism.
Right.
And from that day, you can't watch a movie or a TV show without finding the issues. You see, there's no continuity here. He just had on a brown shoe where that black shoe came from. Like, you know what? They didn't cut the scene properly.
Right.
And for me, my question to you is, how does listening, like you just said, listening, you have to shut it off sometimes.
Right.
How does that impact on you when you hear maybe a snare in the wrong place?
Mm-hmm.
Or, like this drummer overdoing it? You're like, how does that impact on you when you yourself go to approach music?
Well, you want to go first?
I can. I find I have to turn it off depending on what the music. I have to remember what the music is for. So if I'm listening to, I might be listening to a song, and I find that I'm getting too critical of the song, which you can do when I'm like that with my own music, I'm like that with anything. Sometimes I'm like, but what is being communicated? And I kind of will not retreat, but I will move into a space of what is being communicated and being able to find the beauty in that. Not that I easily overlook or excuse mediocre work, because I believe in excellence. And there is plenty of mediocre work, both in Christian and non-Christian music, that is celebrated that I don't particularly enjoy. But even in that, most of the time I can say, what is being communicated, and find the beauty in the expression.
Interesting. I think for me, music is also a career for me. I would say a full-time career. So I think because of that, and then also to it being a career and excellence being directly attached to monetization, because people like good products. I think that influences the way I view other songs or view other, pieces of art in the form of music. But I think what has been good, similar to what Duncan has said, I tend to find that balance of not being too critical. Because in my space, I work with a lot of people who may not be yet at various levels. You work with different people that are at various levels. So I tend to be able to appreciate the heart of the person. And then my job is, well, how can I bring the best? Okay, for example, you may have somebody that has a pop song, but they just are not, that's just not what they're, I can hear based on my skill level, based on my expertise, that's just not what they're cut out to do.
They should be singing soca.
However, they have it in their heart that this is what they want to do. I have to be able to strike the balance. Well, all right, I need to meet the need of this person who I'm here to serve and help them to have the best product that they can. So again, things like that have helped me to be a little less critical of the you know, and then there's certain people who say, listen, you brother, you are graced and you are gifted and you should know better, you know.
Mm.
So there are various levels of which I would say I approach that kinds of conversation, but in a general sense, as Duncan was saying, when it comes to like driving and listening to music, silence most of the time, unless it's worship, maybe like a new album, something just came out, and then listening to see what sounds, you know, the artist is using, you know, to staying hip and current to the new trends in music. Not that they matter all that much, but you know, you still want to know what's going on,
Yes.
you know. So other than that, I am mostly in silence to preserve my ears as well too, because I know, you know, the man behind the camera will tell you the ears are important when it comes to mixing. You know, you gotta preserve these here because they get tired really fast as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I must remind the viewers that this podcast is brought to you by Future Records.
Future Records.
Future Records. And we're discussing preserving good quality sound. So you know by default, Future Records is here to make sure that your project is giving you the best bang for your buck. And the buck is what I want to talk about. Quality,
Talk about it.
but they got a budget.
Right.
Tell me about how the budget impacts on your music. How does it impact on the length of time it takes for you to complete a project? I mean, or do you just say, I mean, some people say, well, I can sacrifice everything and just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you just go patiently and say, well, I can spread this out and then, like, you know, pay like a down payment, whole kind of stuff. So how does it work for you personally? Right. I mean, you have your own studio, so you can wake up at 1 in the morning, do whatever you like, innit? So yeah, how does it
appear that way? Yeah. But I guess from the perspective of the person providing the service as well, because I'm an artist, but outside of that, I'm also an engineer. I'm also a producer. So as you mentioned, in my studio, a lot of people come to me to get the product that they desire. I'm usually quite flexible because I myself have understood that people at various levels, they have various circumstances, various budgets. You know, not everybody has a big backing behind them financially, where people are, you know, pouring into them financially, where they can afford this or that. My job is to best serve the person that has the heart to do the best with what they have. You know, so I think that's also a smart business decision, because in the future, they will say, you know what, I went to Jaicko in 2026 when I didn't have 9. Man, give me something with what I had. I can come back and I can spend. You know, if we talk in economics, people, I mean, that's a smart. That's smart
good customer service
to build relationships. You know,
yes.
So I think my main thing is I'm looking to see that you're serious.
Yeah.
And then if I see that you're serious, you're able to see that I'm serious, and I know that I'm not going to take advantage of you, and you're not going to take advantage of me. So that is how my heart is to allow the Lord in my process of business, and to me it removes the pressure of having to operate at the world standard, and then to know that I'm serving someone. I think that reward goes beyond any. Somebody will look at me, well, Jaicko, what are you talking? But the truth is that there's not a greater feeling than somebody walking into your space with less than what I deserve, based on the criteria of the space, and you being able to give them something that for them is that to me is greater than any form of payment.
Well, obviously, I have a different perspective because I don't have my own studio.
Yes.
No, it has been. There have been seasons. So there would be seasons when it's like the season for investment.
Right.
So you know, you take out your money and you go. You say, Jaicko, are you ready? Let me go. Let me get this to happen. And then there are other seasons when you focus on other areas and building.
Right.
So. But I've also invested in some of my own things. So like I went and bought my own microphone, I have my own interface, I have my own computer, so that I can say, all right, let me learn how to do some of this stuff on my own.
Right.
Because ultimately, if I'm serious, as Jaicko said, if I'm serious, I gotta invest in myself.
Money.
I gotta spend the money. I can't be like, man, Jaicko, you gotta give me some, you know. Also for me, one of the things with working with Jaicko has been hugely impactful for me is when I would be in the studio with him, I would sit and I would watch and I ask him, "What are you doing there? What does that do? What is it?" Because
I'd be like, I was not asking so much questions. I just joking.
and so it's never been like all right, we're gonna sit down and have a class, but Dad's gonna class. Like instead of just going to sleep when he mixing, I'm watching to see what he's doing. And when we're recording, so like even going into the studio, there are times when I would just record myself in the studio because he was all right. Well, do your thing. And I would sit down and be able to record, and I think that is hugely valuable for me because that means that I'm not as dependent on others when it comes to creating the thing that God has put me to do.
Mm-hmm. And I guess over time, what you want to do is see yourself growing and developing and maturing in your craft, and that leads to the other question that I have. How did you know? I mean, for Jaicko, it's a little difficult because he was born into a bloodline. So, but I mean, how did you? He could have been the rebel. How did you know that music was for you? Like it was your calling. When did that happen?
That is quite an interesting question. Done. You want to go first?
I don't mind. You go first this time.
I think. So obviously, everyone on the local platform, well, most people know my dad. Know that he is.
Tell us the names. Like, give us the bloodline. Go. Why not? For those young people who have no clue.
Yeah,
take us back to great grand. Who begat? Yeah, let's go into the begat. Let's know.
Yeah. Well, in my eyes, my dad is one of the most decorated producers / band formers. What would you call them? Band entrepreneurs in the area of music. Has formed several bands. Has been instrumental in a number of local and international artists' career. And so I grew up in an environment where coming home from school, there was rehearsals happening in my basement. So I grew up around live instruments, grew up around music. I grew up around excellence. If there's one thing that I would say that I've learned from my dad is excellence in music. So I grew up around, like my dad, it has always been a joke because my dad was actually one of the first persons to use a drum machine, which, there was something called an MPC 2000, which was like one of the most sought after drum programming machines, and he was one of the first persons to use it live in place of a drummer. And people were trying to figure out how this man got this music to sound so much like those songs, because a lot of times with bands they play in the nightclubs and stuff like that, the goal was to make it sound like the actual record. My dad was able to achieve that, and then he started bringing a live drum on top of that, and people thought it was like, this is madness. Fast forward to 2026 now, where you can't go to any show if you want to do your homework. You would know. You can't do any show without there being a guy that just handles what are called like the stems, or that's like unheard of now. So anyways, my dad was, I would say, a pioneer of live music in Barbados and in different parts of the region and globe. So growing up in that environment, I think my dad was the first person that knew for me, as a very young child, him saying, listen, I think my son got a little talent, and I'm gonna create a space where he can grow in it. And that was my beginning. I remember 9 years old going to my first studio session with a local legend by the name of Anthony Lohar. This was way beyond his radio announcer years at that point. But he was the first person to record me in the studio, and I think that was the time where I was like, this here is something. And by 13 years old, I would say at 13 was the age that I embraced it. Okay, yeah, this is. By that time, I had put songs out on the radio, and I'd start to gain somewhat of a local following. And that was when I was like, yeah, this is something that I can see myself doing and enjoying for all of my days.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For you, Kingservant, when did it happen?
I was not a teenager. Well, I was maybe 19 actually. 18 or 19. But before, like I loved singing when I was very young, always singing. Then my voice broke. When my voice cracked, I stopped singing because all of a sudden I can hit notes. Like I used to be hitting them high notes and thinking I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, nope, done. So I stopped
You used to be
singing.
trying out them Michael Jackson songs.
Oh, I used to sing them. comfortably, all the Michael Jackson, all the Boyz II Men, all the everything. It was like, everything. But then once that cracking happened, crack-a-lacka, I was done.
Crack-a-lacka.
I was done with it. But I always was very into dancehall, very into hip hop. And when I was about 18, 19, a friend of mine, he was like, man, after I got saved, and he was saying, man, I feel like I want to start a rap group. So I was like, okay. So I started to kind of play around with him, like rhyming. It was literally, this is show you how old I am. It's on MSN Messenger, right? So Jaicko probably don't know what that is.
Bro, of course I know that.
This is on MSN Messenger. So he's messaging me, and he's everything that he says, I rhyme with it in my reply. And he's freaking out. He's saying, my man, I can't. But he lived probably a 5 to 10 minute drive away. Now, he was younger than me. He was not driving. When the man showed up at my house, he walked there. I was like, B, what are you doing? Why are you here? He was like, B, we got to race Sam. All right, cool. So I was just kind of encouraging him. And what actually sparked it the most was like a night. Literally, my eyes popped open in the middle of the night. And a whole song downloaded. I'd never experienced before. I got it and I wrote it. I wrote my verses, wrote a verse for me, wrote a verse for him, wrote a verse where we go back and forth. This whole song just, boom, dropped in me.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, that's crazy. And so that's when I started writing. But it was all rap at the time. And then I started doing like dabbling with dancehall because that's what I grew up on. It's actually only when I connected with a particular studio, a particular gentleman named Ramon Dummett at Bloodwash Studios, which is the same place I met another gentleman named Jamel Newton. Same place I met him was at Bloodwash Studios.
Come out things?
Yeah, that was where we met.
Shout out to Ramon doing big things.
Yeah, for sure. And that was the first time that I went into a studio and it was like, come and record. Literally the first night I went there, I wrote and recorded a verse on one of the songs that they were working on. And it was like, you chat, right, man, we want to chat for this. And I was like, all right, cool, boom, 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 record it. And
wow.
for probably a year, I lived in that studio. I literally used to leave home, go work. I was coaching tennis, so I would go work for 6, 7 o'clock, finish at 10, 11, go to the studio, go back to work for 3 o'clock, finish work at 7, back to the studio. Like literally, I was hardly ever home because I was in the studio all the time. And I mean, not always recording, but just in the space. Other people coming to record,
Yeah.
I recording, I working on my stuff and everything. And that's when I started singing because I wrote a verse for another guy, for a song that he was working on. And when I sang it for them, they were like, "Oh yeah, you can sing that part." I was like, "Nah, they be gonna sing. They chant be with me." And they say, "No, you sound good doing that." I was like, "Really? I can sing." So then
the story is the same today.
So that's how he then started like moving into it. That was like a raga soca type of song.
Right.
And then it started to then, so I got reggae. I love reggae, so I started to do reggae music, and that was when it really sparked. So it was, yeah, those two moments, the wake up in the middle of the night, and then Ramon, the opportunity of being in that studio was huge.
My next question is going to take us a little off the joys and more into like the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the biggest struggle and obstacle to your music and your ministry today? What's the one thing that has fought you? Is it internal or is it external? What would you say is the biggest?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Very loaded question.
I wouldn't say there's one struggle that's bigger than the other. I think if I can speak on behalf of everyone I know in my space, or people who may be in my position, the struggle of comparison. If we're being real, because then you see in our space, comparison is the thing that when you go into. I've been in many record label offices, and one of the first questions they ask you is if you were to go on tour, who do you see yourself touring with? Who's an artist that you see yourself being like? So the whole thing about this world, even as we think of the words like genre and things like that, it's really all formed in a way that you are to be like someone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has presented a huge struggle, allowing the Lord to help me work through that, and to know that one, um, numbers do matter,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't matter as much as I may think. They don't determine His working in through my ministry as much as I may think. Because is one less important than 1,000? Is the one more important than less important than the 1,000, or is the 1,000 more important than the one? You know, at the end of the day, He left the 99 for the one. So I mean, the one is just important. Anyways, so just working through that in my mind, and then constantly being in spaces, even in Christian music, where that is the dominant feature. It's all about numbers. So allowing the Lord to help me to work through that, and helping me to stay focused on the goal, which is to exalt Jesus in my music. I think, once He is pleased, then I am satisfied. So coming to that place and dying daily, because there's always a new trend, there's always a new artist, there's always a new sound. So much happens in there's such a volatile space. There's always a new thing to overcome. I would say that, and then also to, I would say, the way in which the social networks that we use to promote our music have such a grasp on the way people consume music. That's a big challenge, and if you don't know, you will know. Nowadays, you could have. So, like, I have 13,000 followers on Instagram, and I can guarantee you that on a weekly basis, 13,000 people, well, 13 people probably see my content, unless I pay the algorithm to show my following. So that's a huge challenge, as it relates to getting your message out there and getting your voice out there. But I do believe that there's always a way with the Lord. So again, allowing the Lord to help me to work through that, implementing His strategy. As we talk about the future, trying to implement things that have not been done before. Creating new ideas to reach audiences. That is a struggle. Struggle is real.
Is there for you in particular, and this has always been a question that I've had, and I think in my particular case, my mom was a creative. She was a potter, and she was an A-class potter, but she was the best potter on the island. And she died young. And for me, my mom was on the cover of the telephone directory.
Oh, wow.
So that when you have a parent that becomes like larger than life almost, then the pressure is on you with your skill set to see, well, can I reach that? In my sphere. And for you, is there that additional internal familial pressure or on you?
I understand. So I've dealt with that quite intensely in different seasons.
Right.
But I would say now I am free from that. I'm free from the idea that I have to become what people might have expected. But there were times where that was a huge struggle. And even, I talked about my dad, talk about money. My dad invested heavily. No one makes an investment without wanting to see some sort of return.
Sure.
So in the eyes of man, for me personally, there was not that return that people might have expected. But again, being able to go through that process of dying to self and allowing the Lord to come forth in me, I've really, I would say, been freed from that pressure of having to become what people might expect.
And for you, what's the big
Big
challenge?
challenge. So I think similar. There's external challenges, and there's internal challenges. So externally, things like, so the way that my brain works is that I see challenges, but then I automatically revert to I'm responsible for figuring it out, and that's the price of success is figuring it out. That's the price, right? So it's not to say, man, there's these challenges and I can't overcome them. It's there's these challenges, and the ones who figure it out are the ones who are successful. So from an external perspective, things like the algorithm is a huge challenge at figuring out what do people want to see. Because I might do a video and say, okay, good, this one got some traction, let me do something similar, do another one and it flops, and it's like, okay, what do I need to do next?
But it's Tuesday then, because that was Monday.
Exactly, right? The point is figuring it out. I think my struggle has been consistency. With everything going on in life, sometimes it can be a challenge to, even like Jaicko, of course, you're posting a well, man, and I was, jeez, so I will be I'm one of those people who I'll appear for 3 weeks, heavy, then disappear for 3 months, and then appear for another 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then and so that I know that is, I'm not upset about my traction social media wise or anything, because I feel like I haven't earned it. I believe I get what I deserve.
Right.
That's my philosophy. What I get is what I deserve from that type of a perspective. Internally, the hardest part, as I said, is inconsistency and imposter syndrome. Like I feel like, I really am good enough to do this. I really like.
Praises I faster feel like in.
I'm telling you, that's one of the songs that we did together, and that's something that was that is probably one of the realest verses I've ever written, because it was.
You should probably spit it, bro.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, after all, this is an artist show. I mean, you can't let people go along and don't hear no music.
Well, they can go and check. We have a music video. This one's called Nothing Left.
I'll do it. Praises I faster feel like imposter. When the game day come, will I make the roster? If I make the cut, will I give a good performance? Or is my feeling just laying in dormants? Voices in my head feeling like they never cease. Oh, to bring me down to my knees. But now I realize that my knees might be the very same place that I really need to be.
All right.
You can tell that he produced it, right?
Yeah.
Sure, bro. I started a bad tune.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the best ones that we did. But that feeling of, I've grown accustomed to seeing it and dismissing it, and I have to continuously do that, because every day it's like, does it make sense doing this? Is the song really good enough? Are people really gonna like it?
Right.
And when you see other people, the comparison, you see other people getting opportunities or doing things and things, and I'm not envious. I'm not like, man, I wish that I had what they have.
Sure.
But it's like, okay, if they're getting opportunities, are there opportunities for me?
Right.
That kind of, all of those are the thoughts that run, but which can discourage you, but for me, I have to be like, all right, well, now I realize my knees might be where I gotta be.
I mean, I didn't anticipate you guys would have been that honest. So I mean, thank you. I mean,
so here's the thing. I think the benefit of being honest is I don't think we're honest enough about the struggles of just trying to get it done in the space. So for the benefit of people that are watching, I'm sure the people that might be on the journey, I think it's important to be real about the challenges that you face.
Well, there's only one person apart from me in this room that knows that I actually have a record, a song produced.
Really?
And I sat in that person's studio here, Future Records, so many years ago, and they sat with me through an intensely painful period to produce that song.
Wow. Intensely painful?
Yeah, painfully, emotionally painful, like life transitioning period, and it really was a ballad to pour my heart out to God from a very pure place. The song is called Pure Heart. And I hardly got any play on the radio, and I got dejected and whatever the case may be. It was but the point is, I didn't anticipate that you would have given that level of honesty, because there are people out there who may be watching live now or will watch this in the future that have, I actually know one young lady who has a book full of poems. I mean, a book full of poetry that she's written.
Wow.
A few she will say in church. She would, read them out in church once in a while. But I've said to her on many occasions, you need to take this to a studio.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just let these guys know you've got something that will help.
Sure.
And I think, before I ask the next question, there are people God has put in position who lack the courage and the self-esteem or the motivation, who may feel like imposters. They don't belong because they don't have the face or the look or, I don't know, the star quality, whatever that may be. And they may be sitting on something God has given them that can make a difference for you, for me,
sure.
for, my talent may not be the same as somebody else's. But if I stay hidden, then I can't host a podcast.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
And so, my next question to you is, when you put your music out, what is it that you want to happen in the mind and the life of the listener?
Right. Wow.
That depends on the song.
Right.
Yeah.
It depends on the song. Different songs have different kind of purposes and meanings and whatever. But I do want some type of shift, whatever shift that is. Whether it's a shift in perspective on themselves, a shift in perspective on God, a shift in perspective on the world, whatever. That is typically I'm trying to bring a shift in perspective or bring clarity. Like those are kind of the things that I am hoping to achieve. I feel like I want to go back a little bit, if you don't mind, in terms of the person who may be struggling, because like Jaicko was talking about when you're trying to get your music out there, you're trying to go pay the algorithm. It still is easier now than it used to be, because before you couldn't even get anything done without a label.
Right.
Like you had to have this marketing machine behind you in order to just even anyone know who you were. That's no longer the case. So you can find a way, cut your music out on social media. And my experience, even in my limited success, has always come from being consistent with posting, being consistent with putting your art out there. So if this young lady has a book full of poems, tell her to start an Instagram page and literally just post herself, record, put her phone, even if the phone is poor quality, put it on a stand and record herself reading her poem. Do one of those every day. And just don't even look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Literally don't look at the numbers. Just record it. Just record it. Next day, do another one. Next day, do another one. And keep doing that. And wait and see what the Lord will do. That's my philosophy. Just wait and see what the Lord will do. You don't know, because it might be number 100 that blows up and goes viral.
That's right. Yeah. Just poem.
Poem.
Just poem.
Anita.
Oh, wow. He's already.
So, sorry.
Yeah, so if I may answer the question, mine is a lot more simpler, because the music is always, for me, especially the songs, like I have a song called For Your Grace, and that for me was just like a real, like, Lord, look at what the Lord has done. Yeah, you want to do the singing now?
No. I'm not that kind of imposter.
So like, look at what the Lord has done. He brought me from here and to there and there, and so like most of the time, I just want the listener to experience what I experienced making it. That's just I just want them to feel like, you hear that little thing in there, because it all means something for me. It all, like, oftentimes producers would send me tracks, and I always marvel at how sometimes there'll be little things in the beat. I end up singing the melody, not even realizing it's there. So there's meaning in every harmony and every line. And I was like, man, I just wish these lyrics would. I just wish the person would get that double entendre. Like, I just wish they would just hear that harmony and be like, yo, bro, that harmony that you had in your back, bro. Yeah. It was like, that one, bro. There's a lot of, you know what I mean?
There's so much of that type of stuff, though, that we, as creatives, we make stuff. And the hardest part of the song to me, nobody notices. Nobody notices at all. Nobody remembers that line that I was like, yo, that was the line,
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. If it's missing, they will feel it.
Exactly.
So again, I think my consolation is that you may not always hear it, but you'll feel it.
Yeah.
So simply put, that they would have that experience that I had making.
But I might need to have a Bose speaker in my house to hear everything you put in your music.
Right,
Because I ain't gonna hear everything in your music with a cheap little poor Reiki
Not listening
speaker.
on your phone.
No, I can't. It's impossible to hear everything,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
the reality. You miss that
Yeah.
full sound. I mean, your studio got speakers in every corner, on the floor, all the way, hitting you from every direction. I mean, my little transistor ain't gonna put out, and even some radio
Right.
stations don't have the power really to really push.
The funny
Right.
thing is that that's if you know those headphones that became super popular, Beats by Dre.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, that was like I remember seeing an interview when those first came out. And Dr. Dre was saying that he was
That's
tired
cool.
of people. They spend so much time, effort, money, everything creating this sound, and then
Uh-huh.
people listen to it on garbage speakers and
Right.
garbage headphones that
Oh,
they can't
wow.
hear half of the things.
I feel
So he
validated.
created the thing so that
Bro, you can eat this full four-course meal with a spoon, baby.
you know what I mean? Exactly. That's the whole
That's
vibe.
fantastic. That's actually really good. That's really good. Now, I want to ask you. You said you want people to hear different things. You want people to feel you and your experience.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at your music, does most of it come from a place of pain, place of joy, or just a place of inspiration? I hear some people saying they were laid down, they saw birds and flowers, and then the song came to them.
Yeah.
Like some people have to go through the fire. Like, was it for you when that bit of inspiration comes? And double whammy, does the lyric come first or does the music come first usually?
Oh, those are two different questions.
I know they really are two different questions. So yeah, so
Was there actually a moon landing? And then also, are aliens real?
Sorry about that. But still, it flowed in my head. So does most of your music come from a place of joy, pain? What's usually the inspiration point after a good meal, or like when you're starving after fasting? Like, what have you thought it through?
It just depends. It just comes at different. I would say that there are times when it comes, and there are times when you go for it. So there are times when it's like we would go in the studio when we were working on kind of a collab project, and it would be that we went into the studio to write. So there wasn't a specific inspiration. Sometimes
song.
I'm out of the talking. You see, that was the inspiration.
The songs.
So no, we would go in the studio to write, but we would end up talking for a long time and then write. And then work on this stuff. Sometimes the music, well, I guess it kind of goes flows, because sometimes the music came first, sometimes the lyrics came first. For me, the lyrics almost always come first, because I'm a lyrics person. Like, that's my whole, I'm a lyricist. So,
Interesting.
I found that was one of the things working with Jaicko made a huge impact on my music, on the sound, because I was able to learn how to become more melodic in what I did, because that was not natural to me. I was very a lot of words. So Jaicko would say, alright, so you can say that with less words. Like, that was like the most popular thing. So now I've learned how to say that to myself. So I'm writing and I have the longest line, and I'm like, alright, Jaicko asked me to do this in less words, so how can I do that? And I try to do that first, and then I'll send it to him and say, what do you think? He'd be like, okay, cool. You can take out some words there, and I've already gone through but at least I've gone through the first pass of taking the words.
Right.
But I think there are times when you get inspiration, and when you get that inspiration, you grab it, you do what you can. If you go record it on your phone, you write it down, you do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when the inspiration isn't there and you gotta work.
Right.
Yeah. So to answer your first question, since my brother here answered the second, how, like, what place am I coming from? It's usually all of it. But I think the differentiation that I am always conscious to make, this I feel like this is my mission. If I'm going to take you on a path where you are going to lament, where there's going to be this expression of emotion, I feel responsible of presenting the solution.
Right.
I'm not going to just leave you broken, or I'm not going to just come and say, man, today was a rough day, man. It's just sad. I'm going to be like, today was a rough day and I'm sad, but I will bless the Lord at all times.
Amen.
That's what I try to do in my music as much as possible. And even if I've made something and it and it stays in that place, I may not even release it because I'm like, you know what, this is something that this is between me and the Lord, you know, and I need to be a good steward of the responsibility the Lord has given me to have a voice that travels, you know. So yeah,
Awesome.
I only partially agree with that,
sure.
which is interesting because I don't often disagree with you. But
First time here, guys.
yeah, you guys see it like. There are songs that I have written, and there are songs that I think they give expression to emotion, and that in and of itself is cathartic. And I believe also there is a spirit that operates within us which we deliberately transfer to the music. And I think that spirit does work even if we don't call its name. No, and I'm not saying this as a reason to like, oh, you know, so you don't have to say, you don't say Jesus. It's, to me, I don't deliberately leave it out for sure. If I'm ever tempted to do that, I can put it in 3 times. But like there's a song that I wrote a long time ago called Daddy. And I wrote that song from the perspective of a child whose father was not active in his life. And it is literally just the expression of a child. And there's no conclusion. But I've always felt like that, and I remember I performed it a few times and to non-Christian audiences, and people came and said, "My man, that song was me, you, right?" And so they felt something, right? And I feel like if that in and of itself is something that the Lord wants to do, you know, my thing is
I'm
okay.
leaving. I don't agree.
But my thing is that I think the responsibility comes for us as artists that, okay, I give that, I bring up that feeling, but then if that person then goes and listens to my next song, I can't be only keeping them in that place still. And it's always there. I'm introducing them to me through this song, but then when they go and research me, they say, wait a minute, was Jazz Grace now? Oh, so there is a solution to my former issue. You know what I mean? So I think the body of work can do the bringing them along the journey rather than having to do it all in one song.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I
Yeah,
get you.
bro.
If I listened to your music without the lyrics, but I still feel something.
That's a good one. I hope so. I hope that the. So you mean like with like the melody?
Yeah, just just the music, but no vocals.
No vocals.
I maybe.
Well, you gotta ask the producer that one.
That's what he produces it, right?
Yeah. But it's interesting because I had this conversation with somebody maybe 2 days ago, and I do this a lot, especially if people send me tracks. If you name the track "Foot on the Wall," I'm gonna write a song. I'm most likely to take that and call it "Foot on the Wall," because my belief is, well, there was a reason why you named it that. That's why you gotta pick your producers wisely, guys. You know, people be sending you tracks that got all kinds of weird names, and you trying to write a song with Jesus on it. Sometimes they ain't gonna work. But honestly, I've had those experiences.
Yes.
It's like, you know, now you were in the strip club. You just left the strip club, and you were thinking about
What
bottom halves.
Yeah.
You just saw. And you want to
Yeah.
send me this track and a lot. But anyways, long story short, I think you would with my songs, because I often do that. I often would write based on what the title is, and I think the producer had that title, it means he felt that. And
Yeah, I would say I would agree. Typically, because the music, if it wasn't created specifically for the song, so like the songs that Jaicko would have produced for me, the music was made for the song, so the two of them are intertwined. But ones where I may have found the beat, heard the beat first or whatever, it spoke to me first. You know what I mean? It's like I would hear the music and then something about it is speaking to me, so then I'm writing based on that. So I would say, I think I would say like Jaicko, I hope so.
Yeah,
right.
you really do. You really do. And this is going to lead me, so I told you that these questions that I come up with during the conversation are going to be tougher. Right?
How are we doing so far? Are we doing good?
We're doing, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
We used to get a lot of rhythms in the early 2000s. A lot of rhythms. People jump on a track and just put their lyrics on top of it, and you get 4 or 5 songs on that one. You know, there used to be a lot of that. There used to be a lot of collabs. What's changed?
Should I go?
Please, someone.
Someone tell me what's changing.
What's going on?
I actually think that in this dispensation of music, right across the board, I see a lot more collaborations.
Yeah.
I think one, because of social media. I think because of how people have become accessible. You find a lot of artists. Like the other day, I was in an artist DM. He's like, "Yo, bro, let's collab." He's like, "Yo, bro, I'm with it." So I see a lot more collaborations. To the question about the rhythms, that really started in Jamaica, and a big part of how that started was that in Jamaica and in dancehall culture, men used to just be lined up outside the studio, just waiting to get on a beat. And the producer would go in, whether it was, Sly or Robbie, whether it was Don Corleone or Lenky, any of those guys, they would got a track, Buju Banton come in, and the men outside just waiting to get a verse. And that's how the whole rhythm thing, that was partially how it started. So that was really something that developed out of Jamaica. I still see it quite relevant in dancehall culture especially. But I think that's the world where it kind of, I see it a little bit in soca. Never really seen it in R&B, unless it was like a remix or a pop or truth. That would be a good idea. I think you kind of, I see where you're going with this future thing.
Well, it's a future chat. You were saying you're talking the future here.
I think the open verse challenges. That's a whole social media trend.
That's a similar thing.
Has a similar vibe. So it's like getting people into collabing with the artist that's writing this song. So then people will do verses and stuff. But I like for example, talking about rhythms. The last song that I released is on a rhythm. Philip is on it as well, Philip K.
Yeah.
And then some other artists from other places, Fahrenheit and St. Andrew and stuff like that. And that was a DJ from England who she made a rhythm, and she
DJ Shuns.
Real hard DJ. So she's done that a few times where she would create a rhythm and then she would
that's from the UK. Okay? Let's drive it home now because we get into a point. Christian DJs.
What about them?
Yeah. How many more do we need per square mile? I mean, we're talking about pushing your own music out on social media. But the truth is there's space for other workers in the vineyard to do the job.
Yeah.
There's a queen bee, but she can't be out there gathering honey when she in there laying eggs. You know what I'm saying? So like how are we going to find or maybe train and hone skills for a new crop of DJs that can really help facilitate the promotion of the music?
Well, there's a few Christian, at least in Barbados, I know for sure. There's actually quite a few really good DJs who I would say, for me personally, I'm fortunate enough to be friends with them and that they're very supportive of the music and the ministry.
Great.
I would say I think it's tough for DJs personally in Barbados in particular because there's not a lot of opportunities for them.
Yeah, let's circle around that for 2 seconds.
there's just not, to me, there's not a lot of opportunity. I would talk to them and I would encourage the ones that I'm closer to, I would talk to them and say, but you have to find a way to make yourself relevant. You can't wait on others to, do things for you. I mean, I can send you, I could do a drop for you, I can do a dub play. That's cool, but who's going to hear it? If you're not creating and doing things, if you're not on social media spinning, the DJ that because I don't know anything about DJing in that way. But the one DJ that everybody knows about is DJ Puffy. And one of the things I recognize about Puffy is he's super active on social media. And he's always he has some mix and he's hyped in the video and he's doing his whole thing. Right. Because he recognizes, and he's a man that's touring, he's in Dubai today and then in Finland tomorrow.
Right.
But he still recognizes the necessity of doing that, even at his level. So I feel like if you're now starting, you gotta put in the work. You gotta see what is it that these top men doing, and how can I do the same thing or something similar to get myself relevant, to get my name out there, to get my talents out there.
Well, I mean, in Christendom, the opportunities are weddings, wakes.
Oh.
And the truth is, we have to be honest. There was a time where the gospel concert scene was
Every weekend.
booming.
Yeah.
Every
yeah.
weekend.
I mean,
Back in the blood wash days.
I tell
Let
you,
me
there
tell
was
you,
places to
every
go
weekend we used
and
to
things
do
to
two concerts a
do.
night and
Yeah,
DJs
yeah.
would have had an opportunity, and I'm driving. I'm guiding the conversation in a direction.
Mhm.
We're talking about the future of the music and the ministry. There are gaps that have been clearly identified in the conversation, and we're talking about filling them. The DJs need opportunities.
Mhm.
Then there's room for promoters. There's room for event coordinators.
Mhm.
There's room for everybody, event planners. So, what do you say to a young person who's wanting to step into ministry as a gospel artist and is intimidated by guys like you? One,
No.
and then, but I mean, by this point in the conversation, I think they should be disarmed because you guys have been quite honest
Oh, yeah,
and transparent about the journey. But what would you say to them to kind of put a little bit of wind under their wings? Even given what you're saying now, there may be a guy who wants to DJ. I mean, it was always his dream. That's all he wanted to do is DJ, and he's been waiting to hear something. For the girl with the poem, you already encouraged her, but other people
Right.
who are in the shadows,
Yeah.
who are saying, I don't know when my time will come, like when is my turn, or if it will ever be, like maybe I'm just imagining things, or is it really God speaking to me? Like, to that person who's in that place, I want you to say something really to just
Yeah.
give them a
We talking to those that are serious.
those. Well,
Yeah. Well, I can tell you for me, I don't know if I may say, listen, brother, all you need to do, but I will share, and hopefully that you could pick sense from nonsense. My experience has been the times where I've seen the most success have been times where I've been the most broken before the Lord. The times where those things matter the least. And I believe that that's a good place to live, and that's what matters most. Because I could tell you there are many books that you can probably read to become the biggest any artist, whether it goes with it, because there are a lot of people that have used gospel for their own gain. But I'm not talking to anyone who that is the point. I think if the heart is to use what God has given you as a means of worship and honor and reverence to the King, I believe that place of being at the feet of Jesus is the place where all success is found. And that has been sorry to sound super spiritual.
No, that's deep, man.
But that has been my experience. So I would say don't make it about becoming the biggest gospel artist or becoming the next DJ. Make it about Jesus and allow him to form and fashion you after what he desires. I'm sorry, guys.
No, that's
That's
great.
all the advice I have.
I want to ask you a question, Kingservant. Can you push that button in the front of this humidifier here and let the light go off? I think that's it's sweet. It's sweet. Yeah, maybe press it again. Press one. Yeah. It's sweet, man. I can taste the
Cut that part out
candy.
where I was like trying to like do it and failing.
Don't think you got that. So for you, what would you say?
I think humility is the first and most important thing. And by humility, I don't mean thinking less of yourself. I think, as Jaicko said, thinking of yourself less, saying, Lord, is this what you want me to do? And if it is what the Lord wants me to do, then we need to be humble enough not to be entitled and think we deserve anything. That we should, because, God has called me to do music, so I should just, I should just get the opportunity. Why?
Right.
Why? What about it should make you get the opportunity, right? Work on your skills. Work on your craft. Don't tell me that you want me a songwriter, but you've written 3 songs. Come to me when you've written 100. You know what I mean? Like, so don't tell me that man, I want me a DJ, but you don't have at least virtual DJ on the computer that you play with, and you've got 6 mixes that you can let me hear and critique them. Don't tell me that you want me a spoken word artist, but you're frightened to talk, and you're in daily recording and you're listening to yourself and critique. You know what I mean? Like, put in the work.
Right.
I think, and that takes humility, because it means that I'm willing to hear feedback. It means that when someone tells me, okay, this is how you can get better, I don't get offended and vexed and be like, oh, you're a hater, because that's the culture we live in, right? As soon as you have to tell somebody that there's something about it that could be better, they get offended. Forget offense. There's a book by John Bevere called The Bait of Satan. He's talking about offense. And I think that that's one of the best things. Avoid the bait of Satan. Do not get offended no matter what. Even if the person is deliberately being mean, pick the part that's useful and throw away the rest. But I think humility is where it really, really begins, because you have to be able to recognize, you know what? We don't deserve anything except death. That is the truth. That is the gospel. We deserve to be dead. Every other thing is a gift from the Lord, and I have to be humble enough to say, well, if the Lord can give me this gift, how am I going to do the most I can do to give him back something valuable? Right? How am I going to make sure that when my master returns, I say, Master, you give me 5 and I got 5 more. You know, because I worked on it, because I built my craft, because I put in work. And not just practical work, but as Jaicko said, that brokenness, that going before the Lord and spending time in his presence. Like, Lord, it's only you that can really make this thing happen. That you give me this vision and I need you to do it. So it's not just the practical work, it's the internal spiritual work first as a foundation. With that foundation, the humility to put in the work on your craft.
And we're rounding up at this point. Interviewing two of you is a marathon and not a sprint.
Though.
Yeah.
Our answers complement each other so well, bro.
Yeah.
Is that we actually been doing this for a
It's
while.
like if we knew each other.
Yeah,
Or something.
it's like, wow.
It's weird.
What's your name?
Oh gosh. Now we've hit a sweet spot. Smells sweet, and we hit the sweet spot. Yes. This is a question. We're talking about music and the music industry, and your corner, your place in that industry. But for you, what's the one thing you would like to see changed in the music industry? And maybe if you want to be specific to the gospel music industry, but if you want to be general, I mean, in the music industry overall, maybe you can't really compare the two. But it was the one thing. What's the one thing you would like to see changed in the industry?
Peace.
World peace, yes. Australia. One thing that would kind of like be game changing, that maybe could open more doors, create more opportunity, or.
I find that such a difficult
That's
question.
I know. That's why it comes at the end.
And it's funny enough, I was asked this same question like 2 days ago, and I actually didn't have an answer. Because one, if we're speaking locally, I don't believe we have an actual real industry. Because an industry is when you have a group of professionals that are working. We don't have a large group of professionals, full-time musicians, definitely not in gospel.
Right.
Because we don't have. I don't know if it's that where we're too small, genuinely too small to really sustain, and that could be the case.
Right.
But even so, it's not easy to monetize.
Right.
That's just the reality. And if you're not monetizing, it's a hobby.
Sure.
And no, I'm not saying that there's not necessarily any value because it's a hobby, because there's still the value of what the Lord is doing through your ministry, right? But just in terms of, we're talking about an industry, you're talking about professionalism. If you're talking about professionalism, you're talking about making money, and there's not a lot of opportunity for that in Barbados. You have to be thinking wider than Barbados if you really want to do this music and make money and sustain your family and that kind of stuff.
And that may be the case for a lot of other industries, though.
True.
For almost anything an entrepreneur does, because our market is so small.
True.
But Barbados has been known to produce some world-class anything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at our boys out there riding horses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, out of 100, ours is the top 10, like, hands down, right? So there's a grace on Barbados for excellence. And I think maybe we get a little hard on ourselves. You look at music coming from other places, you can tell it wasn't done in a high-end studio or whatever, but they get massive airplay. I mean, they get lots of airplay. So I just want to know the pet peeve, the one thing that grates you under your skin, is like a grater on you.
Well, I would say for that, in this locally, I would say exactly what you said. I think that Barbados is a place where we know about excellence, and I think because of certain aspects of our culture, we've not embraced that fully as yet. In what we export, we are quick to grab what might be comedic, what might be mediocre, but I think a lot of now right across the board, I look at some of the artists who have resolved or resorted to comedic forms of artistry. Guys are uberly talented. Like, I mean, like, underneath all of the act, I'm not calling any names, but I'm just saying, a lot of them are really super talented. So I think that spills over into all aspects of our creative economy. Yeah, so I would say. So I would like to see a more I would like to see us take that more serious.
Sure.
You know? Yeah.
Sure.
With that being said, there's a reason why they go that road.
Yeah.
It's the road. It's an easier road.
It's an easier road.
It's an easier road. You get more traction more quickly if you go with the comedy. If you go with certain elements of it. It's why, like, there's artists who go into doing soca music, for example, and this is not necessarily in gospel, but also in the gospel industry. They go into doing soca music, doing crop over, because they're they realize that's where the eyes are, and they say, all right, if I can just get my name out there, then I can. They're balladeers, they're hip hop artists, but they go into it because that's where you get the eyeballs for this period. But then you get stuck there,
Right.
you know. So, but I get it. Because at the end of the day, if I do a serious song, and nobody ain't checking in, and they do one jokey song and everybody latches onto it,
Right.
you know, or I am doing serious songs and nobody's giving me any mind, but then this guy comes out with a stupid song, and he takes off and he's now traveling all over the world singing this garbage.
Yeah.
It's like, what it makes
it's art though, bro.
Yeah.
Art.
It's art, and art has different. Everybody's receiving of art or perception of art is different. What I think is garbage, another person thinks is gold.
Well, that's exactly where I was going to come in. Like, you know, in your mind, you're like, what is this?
So
Like a song with literally 10 lyrics, nothing, 10 words. 10 words makes up the entire song.
I don't mind it being 10 words. Just make it 10 words that make sense.
Right.
So, but again, I try not to be so critical, because I can be very critical especially when it comes to lyrics. I'd be like, yo.
So then you're really hard on yourself, so you're hard on others.
Yes.
It's a thing.
Yes.
And let me also clarify. I don't think it's a local issue, because you were asking about the industry on a whole.
The industry, yeah.
Sometimes I'd be hearing songs come out and be like, bro, like, that's all I have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
That's what I mean. Like,
exactly.
or do we overthink it? I mean, for the people who are putting pressure on themselves, saying, I will not pick up the phone and call Future Records, or I can never even go up to Jaicko in public and ask a question, because he's going to look at me like, who do you think you are coming to talk to me? And that pressure, that pressure that people feel to even begin.
Right.
They're looking to the future.
Right.
They're hearing the 10 lyric song play on the radio 7 times a day, but the song that's deep, you hear maybe once a week on weekends or a Sunday afternoon, whatever. So in their mind, they're like, well, I think I'm a deep song person. Like, I don't think there's room for me. And so I would understand the inhibition they would have to pick up the phone and call and say, my name is so-and-so, and I think I have something to offer.
Right.
You know, like, whether or not they're serious or maybe they changed their mind.
I would say there are different paths, though. So you got to know who you are as an artist. So if I realize I'm a deep song person, it might take me longer to get traction. And I got to be willing to go through the process, if that's who I am. If that's who I believe God has called me to be, I got to be willing to go through the process. Another person might take off on day one, because that's the type of artist they are. There's artists who has that pop sound that's now and everything. But I don't know. And the other thing is, when we see people take off all of a sudden, 99% of the time, it's not all of a sudden they've been working in obscurity for 10 years. Nobody knew who they were for a long time, and then all of a sudden, because to us, that's the first time we hear about them and then they blow up. But
Right.
a lot of the time they've been working. So
That's nice encouragement.
yeah, so I would say that if you realize and you feel like this is the type of artist I am, this is who God has called me to be, then own that and stick with it and believe, trust the Lord. Do like Joseph, do like David. Trust the Lord with the anointing that He anointed you with for however long it takes before it comes to fruition.
And you see, you're referring to them as artists already, and I want to just encourage our viewers out there. These professionals are already prophesying into your life that you are an artist. It's for you to believe that you're not just a backup singer for the worship team on Sundays, or your youth group gets once a month to go on and sing a few songs and you do your best. These guys have already said to you, these giants have already said to you that you are an artist. And so my final question to you guys is, what legacy? What's the thing? I mean, the day you put down the microphone, if you ever do, what's the thing that you want the generation behind? Okay, sing it up. So go ahead. Go ahead, guys. Sing it for the young people, please. Sing it for us.
Every good man leaves an inheritance for his children. We were just having an inside joke of a song that we made.
That is called legacy.
It's called Legacy. So what was the question? I got a little carried
Yeah. When you put your microphone down, if you ever do, what's the legacy you want to leave behind? Do you want to be a part of the troop that God has called to guide the next generation? What do you want it to be, that your music speaks the story for you? Like, what do you want the next generation to be left with when you are done?
I think I want for people to, whoever interacts with my music, whether it's today or 25 years from now, that they interact with it and they see God differently, that they see themselves differently, that they see the world differently because they interact with my music. I think that would be, if that's what happens, I'm happy. I'm happy to help shift perspectives, to bring clarity and to shift perspective. Those are my two things. So if we can get that happening, all glory to Jesus.
Done your job.
Yeah.
Amen.
I'll make a reference to Bob Marley just because of how impactful his music was and the legacy of his music, how great that was. But even there, his music was just part of his legacy. When you look at his family, when you look at what he believed in, all of these things kind of have all added to the legacy of the man we know as Bob Marley. So for me, similarly, because I view my music part of my ministry, part of the ministry of my life, I would like that my music continue. The one thing you said about being approachable, I've found with my music, because of how it is, it's been like a conversation starter with a lot of people. It has been the platform in which I have to connect with people in a real way. Not just hiding behind the song. Oh my God, I wish I knew what that guy was. It's a means to an end. It's a means of inviting people into, people that may not know the Lord, into a relationship with Jesus. So with all that being said, my legacy, I believe, is to do everything with what God has given me to make sure that He gets the glory from my life, and let that be seen in the generations that come after me. And then, like you said, if there ever be a time that I put down the mic, let me now use that to now pour into somebody else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Give the viewers your socials. How can they find you and your music online?
Well, you can find me at Jaicko Lawrence. Everything Jaicko Lawrence. So Instagram, Instagram / Jaicko Lawrence, YouTube official Jaicko Lawrence, Facebook Jaicko Lawrence, Spotify Jaicko Lawrence, Apple Music Jaicko Lawrence. I just released a new song. It's called Where We Left Off, and go check it out.
Yeah. For me, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube, Kingservant again. And search on the platforms for Kingservant. You should be able to find me there. I also recently released a song called No Fear with DJ Shans. You can check that out on all of your favorite platforms.
Soldiers we are.
Kingservant again.
All right. Okay, guys, please drop something. Drop a little nugget, a verse, something, a chorus, something. Just drop something. Give us something before you go, please. Don't make me beg on my knees.
Soldiers we are walk out. I feel like I've been doing that this whole
So
time.
it's Kingservant time.
Yes,
Yeah, hit us with a little some of them lyrics, no man.
Soldiers we are walk out. Clip full of scripture we are talk out. If we ever see a devil we are bark out. We not afraid the enemy, no way, Jesus we depend on. And he give me the keys to the kingdom. We burn out the devil lies when he bring them. We not afraid the enemy, no way.
We not compromise.
We take no talk with the father lies. No make no deals, he's a wolf in disguise.
Yeah.
So we tell them only Jesus choose the big feet.
Pull up.
Excellent. Awesome. It's been a great conversation. For those of you who have been on this live, who've watched after, I want you to put in the comment section below for me, what's your favorite song coming out of these two artists? I mean, what are the lyrics that resonate with you most? And if you're inspired to be an artist, a gospel artist, want to minister the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ, drop it in the box, send a private message, drop in their DMs, reach out, say something, let them know that you are there. God is doing something amazing in the Caribbean. The future is ours, it is here, and it is built on the foundation of the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ. This good news is coming to you through gentlemen such as these, and I want to say, first of all, congratulations to Kingservant. He's just celebrated his 18 years of marriage.
Yes, please.
Okay. 18 years. And to Jaicko, he's a newlywed. He's just walked his
18 days.
Just a newlywed. Congratulations. And also, in case you don't know, Future Records is run by Mr. Jamel Newton, and he himself is a freshly married man. So you're congratulations as well.
Marriage grace in this room,
These milestones. Great stuff. So here's what I'm going to leave with you from this first episode of The Future. Let me tell you something. If you have felt an urge out of this conversation to release what God has put into your heart, into your life, into your mind, if you're sitting on books full of lyrics, if you're sitting on something you started, you're not sure where to go, even if it is a book, if it's a song, if it's a poem, if you wanted to do a video, a podcast of your own, whatever it may be, you want to get into the movie industry, whatever it is media related, and you have a burning in your heart and you don't know where to go, listen to me right now. Wherever you can find any of us online, reach out and say, the Spirit of the Lord is moving and creating and building something that will move His message forward. I am Nichole Murray-Broome. It's been a wonderful, blessed privilege to host this very first edition episode of this podcast. Let me tell you something. It's going to get even more serious than this. I tell you, if you don't want to slip and slide, you got to strap in. Because this is going to be some kind of a waterfall going forward in the future. This has been Future View. I'm Nichole Murray-Broome. You can find me on TikTok at Naturally Bajan, on Instagram at Official Natural Bajan. We got something coming big for you next time, so stay tuned. Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye.
Welcome in, settle close. Got a story you should know. New ideas loud and clear. Got that future in your dear. Tune in, let it rouse.